What's up, guys? My name is JJ, aka Junior Wolf.
You said, hey guys, I'm Seth, and this is Nerd Rant. Today, we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence.
And that is what we're going to be talking about. I'm Seth, also known as Dr. Zombrain, and JJ, what'd you think of that? Because I know you said you haven't talked about this when we talked about this before.
That was supposed to be your voice?
No, that's not my voice. That's just one of the voices, but that's ChatGPT.
Okay.
That's not Siri, that's not Google.
ChatGPT sounds like a mid-pubescent high schooler.
There's a lot of different voices, and think about where the input's coming from. TikTok.
Fair.
But no, hey, that's what we're going to be talking about.
Cool.
Side note, for very funny thing, today, Fortnite was the #1 most seen watched category on Twitch, with their channel themselves reaching over 80,000.
That's a big number.
That's a big number. Do you know what else is a big number? How fast artificial intelligence growing. So anyway.
I don't think that's a number. That's a phrase, my guy.
What I mean, the answer to the phrase is a number. How fast? At like a percentage.
I mean, maybe if you turn it into a percentage.
But anyway. So we did an artificial intelligence episode before. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, JJ, before we start, how long ago do you think that was?
Oh, gosh, here we go again.
I'm pulling up the app. Let's see when that was uploaded.
With 10 months ago?
10 months ago. All right. And the board says 11.
11. Ooh, I was close.
Nope. 13. I don't know why I said 11. 13. Last January.
Wasn't close.
That's wild. So this is going to be a little different than that one, because we went into some other types of topics. Today we're going to be talking about very specific things, the evolution, the impact, because I've seen some videos, JJ probably has some thoughts on it, and we're just going to kind of bounce back and forth, because this is scary, guys. Like, I'm going to be completely honest, this is a little scary. This isn't no super depressing, though, but this is a little worrisome. This is Skynet level stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what do you think? Where do you want to start? Because we got like a bajillion things.
So I feel like we should start with like the first and foremost thing that's been all over the internet for like the past, week or two?
Yeah, elephant in the room. Good old,
yep.
What the teaser was last week.
Yep.
SORA, right?
Yep.
This
is an interesting one. So if you haven't seen it by some miracle, literally just go on Twitter and you'll see it. You actually live under a rock. But that
might be for the best, let's be honest.
At this point, maybe. SORA is basically an AI video generator, and this is like way more complex than anything we've had in the past. I don't know, Seth showed me a little while ago this video of, Will Smith eating spaghetti? And apparently that was like less than a year ago, right?
10 months ago.
10 months ago, and it was terrible. You could easily tell that it was not natural. And now here we are with SORA, and the videos here are so lifelike and simulate real lighting and reflections and movements near perfectly. And that happened in 10 months.
And some of these videos look like video games, right? Like a drone following it, which looks cool. Some of them do not look like RTX, they look like real life. Like maybe with like a phone or something, like recording, right? It's obviously not real life, but it looks like real life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is insane. There's realism of this stuff. Like, if you go to SORA's like official page on OpenAI, the first video that they show as an example is just this Asian woman in Tokyo walking down the street, and you can literally see down to the detail of the reflection in her glasses. It properly reflects what she is walking towards later in the video. It is insane how accurate this thing is.
Again, though, not 100%. You can very clearly tell some of the videos, there's some weird things with their hands. People are just duplicating or disappearing, or the speed of the movement of the people walking or something like in that one is a little janky at certain points. But again, the thing is, 10 months. We went from obviously fake to, if you're not looking for stuff, were you the one that showed me the grandma with the hands? No. That was the one video I saw. there's a video of grandma having cake for her birthday. It looks really realistic. And I watched it like 2-3 times. And until somebody mentioned to me, watch the hands, I didn't realize that her hands are like duplicating or like splitting off. So it means if I am not looking for it, these can be seen as real.
Yeah, it's crazy, like how down to small details it can be accurate. I feel like it has the most trouble with hands, and I've seen some trouble with eyes and like moving appendages, because like there was the one video with the puppies where like the paws blended together and stuff.
And another thing with the puppies I want to mention, we also have the Apple Vision Pro, and they're using their technology to do the personas, right, for FaceTime. And they're pretty cool, but obviously they're nothing realistic. And the big thing is their hair, right? Because it's just a still image and their hair is still. The one golden retriever, like puppies, each of their hairs are like bouncing. Like, it is insane how well it can handle hair. Because I feel like that is one really hard thing that CGI, animation, everything struggles with, is getting realistic hair. And this is doing it extremely well.
Yeah.
Animal or human. Like, there's another one with like a human afro or something. And that's also, you can almost tell, like, the one little hair that's a little taller, and like, you can literally see it down to the hair. It is insane.
But like, even down to things like behaviors, like there's one of a Victoria crown pigeon apparently, but just its behavior with its like head moving and its body moving, like you can tell that is the actual motion that a pigeon makes. Like, this isn't just, oh, it's a bird, it moves. This is like a pigeon's head would actually move like that if this were a real recording of that bird.
And this is, and again, since you probably realized this, but we didn't specify, SORA is not just AI video, it is text to video. AI text to video. So this is someone saying, a person walking down the streets of Tokyo. That's what's popping up. There's also no audio, right? That's a whole separate thing. And the reason I want to bring that up, how accurate do you think that was? Again, it's not to me, but like, I remember I mentioned last week, like, these AI are starting to get like tone, like there's some depth, like it's so much more realistic versus something like Siri. So what do you think? Because I know that was probably a little janky through the microphone, but
yeah, it's hard to say, honestly. Like, a lot of these, they have, in a sense, their own kind of style, because like there are a lot of AIs out there, right? OpenAI is not the only one trying to spearhead this. They're probably the farthest along out of a lot of them, but each AI kind of has its own personality based on what they tried to train it on, and it's not as simple as just open it up to the internet, because then you're going to have a jumbled mess of who knows what, and it won't know what to use and what not to use.
All right, you're gonna hate this. You're gonna hate this. So Vegapunk is one of these scientists in One Piece, and his dream, everything he knows, he remembers. Like, he can literally learn everything, and his brain keeps expanding. So he built a satellite in his brain to like a server room, but his goal is he wants everyone to have this knowledge, so everyone is smart. Like, there's no like class differences, right? But one of the characters specifically said, but what about like wills and ideologies clashing? And it's like, we're just gonna have to get there. And right there is a perfect example. When you open up to the internet, that is very, like, that's gonna be so much clashing involved for evolution to even take place, because you have your right wing, you have your left wing, you have different cultures and experiences all clashing at once. Which one's right, which one's wrong, what exactly is going on?
Yeah, and so they kind of have to curate what they're feeding to this AI to make sure that it's not like gaining too much information or too much contradictory information, especially. So like, I think there have been some like breakdowns of like the behind the scenes of some of these AI, like people will try and generate like a specific ethnicity of a person, and it just like, it won't do it because it wasn't exposed to enough of that material in the background in order to generate that kind of face. So there's a lot of that out there, right? Where like, oh, if you ask for a specific breed of puppy, it doesn't know how to do that because it doesn't have enough intake of that breed of puppy in order to generate you that result. And so using that same concept, like you can expose it to different pieces of history, you can expose it to different religions, like stuff like that. And depending on what you expose it to, you're going to get different results, even in something as simple as a person walking down the street. So each of these AI kind of has their own style of doing things, and it's going to be difficult to try and like determine where each one comes from.
So you said history. That reminded me of this other ad that I keep seeing. It's an ad about teaching you. But do you know who teaches you?
Me?
People from history. And the ad is Genghis Khan's teacher saying, Genghis Khan, you're so stupid. If you don't fail my class, you'll never succeed. And then it's like Genghis Khan is like, yeah, I'm going to learn AP science from Albert Einstein. It's crazy. But it's like their face. And their face is like extremely realistic, like moving. I'm sorry. It's just crazy because it's quite literally everywhere. And I think that's another thing that we can move into is real life faces. Before this happened, about the last month or two, I've been seeing, I forget her name. Do you remember the one person who's always with Adam Sandler? The one girl?
Yeah.
I keep seeing ads for her. Largest MacBook giveaway.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that around.
And it's a deep fake, right? It's not real at all. You can tell there's like that little depth difference in her face and the rest of her. So again, things that are not only just bad, but you can look out for and tell. If you were just quickly scrolling, you might not know, but for me and JJ, who are a little bit more into the AI world and kind of look for stuff like this and can tell those differences, we're going to know that. But who's not going to know? Who would see that and actually think that's real?
Yeah.
Our parents, our grandparents, the elderly, but not just that, but what about some people that have mental difficulties, and they're not going to see that, and they're not going to be able to process that fast enough that is a scam. They're just going to hear MacBook, focus on that, and click the link. Like, this is very dangerous.
It's kind of opening up a whole new level of, like, identity theft, because, you know,
it is.
The only person who can really say, oh, that's not me, is the person themselves, but if they're not aware of it, then they can't debunk it, and, like, it's a whole problem. Like, this is going to become one of the modern issues that a lot of us growing up are going to have to deal with, and it's definitely going to be a lot harder than some of these past things that we can easily say, oh yeah, I know that's a scam, I've seen that before.
Yeah. I forget.
This ain't no, we've been trying to contact you about your car's extended warranty.
So I forget who I said it to, but like with stuff like this, I saw a video of a guy who said some racist stuff at a basketball game. And then the news covered it, but he said the wrong name, the other reporter that wasn't racist. And the problem is, do you know what happened to that guy that was falsely claimed of just being racist? He was fired from his job of being a teacher. You know, obviously lost many friends. And, like, significant other, like, lots of stuff happened. But guess what? It wasn't true. It wasn't true. And here's where I'm going with that with this. What if I just make a video of you saying something bad? It's not you, but I put it out there, and then clearly it's AI, but because it's out there and people are claiming, how do you get rid of that? You don't. Now that's stuck with you, and you can do that with anyone and make them do or say anything.
I saw, and obviously this was a different situation, but like there was one lady who had a podcast, and somebody made an AI video of her doing some not so clean things, and that got out, and she said, oh guys, it's not me, this is totally AI generated. And obviously there were those who believed it and those who didn't, but we're kind of entering this space where people, like, even if it is AI, they could still lie about it, right? Like, if something about me gets out and I don't like it, I could just say, oh yeah, that was AI generated. That video, that voice line of me saying something, that was AI. And people can easily blow off all of the things that they've done before just by using this as an excuse.
So this is, like, really, This is kind of like, this is really dangerous territory. We're not going to get too much into the politics, but I will say that I'm kind of also scared because this year, especially, obviously, SORA, the main headline of this, is trying to be more very selective on who's testing this and not letting a lot of people do it, and especially real faces. However, say that it was, this year's the presidential election. This could go so poorly when it comes to politics and stuff like that, like just deep fakes of political parties and opponents, making them say things. It's really bad. But because we're so stuck on that and TikTok and social media, which I'm not saying we shouldn't, but like, those are problems that we've been dealing with for years. We're only now just getting it. We should really be trying to focus on this and getting some regulation for this before it's too late. Because eventually it will be too late, and you're not going to be able to tell what is AI. So you might be able to regulate it, but it's still going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, here's the other issue, though. Like, there's been plenty of attempts to regulate stuff online before, right? Like,
like privacy,
like
pirating,
we know that kind of stuff. Like, has regulations, right? There's laws against it, and like rules and stuff, terms of service, all that. But there's still people that do it, and there's still people that have resources to make it happen without other people's tools. So what's to say, like, even if there are regulations put in, why couldn't people just use their own AI model that they either stole from somebody else and made their own, or, you know, created from the ground up, right? Because then that's their item that they have the right to, you know, use how they like.
Yeah, it's just one of those cases where I think what would happen is it's more so the general person won't be able to do it. Like, I can't just be like a little 10-year-old. Like, yes, this still happens, but it's going to limit some of that because it's going to make it harder, right? Yes, the websites are still out there, but they're not the first thing on Google type of thing, right? And I think that's kind of what we need to do. But also, not just for the people, but for companies, that they can't do this. I saw this one guy who's a senator or in the House of Representatives in North Carolina, and he's talking about his election, the primary that's happening right now. And he said apparently, so the way elections work, right? One person's battling against another person in their party for that seat, right? And apparently this is completely legal based on the Supreme Court from a few years ago, that the other party, right, they're not even battling against him. This is for the candidate for the election. That's what this election is right now. They spent $1 million to fake out and beat this guy. This is completely legal. The government did this. It's completely legal. And that's the type of stuff that I'm also worried about, that if we don't set regulations to at least that, right there's no regulations. They can easily use that $1 million and do deep fakes and do some really crazy stuff for politics. So yes, that's still going to happen, right? We can still make a Joe Biden, Donald Trump deep fake. But regulations for those types of people is what I really want, and I feel like we need to focus on. So some kind of groundwork.
Yeah, I know we mentioned before that there was a possibility of, like, what if each AI-generated thing had its own, like, signature in the code somehow? That way, like, if, you know, I see a video and I'm questioning whether it's AI, I can easily, like, easily, quotation marks, crack it open and look inside and see if I can find that signature.
Or you have, like, a Chrome extension that checks for those signatures.
Yeah. That way, you know, you can easily determine what's real and what's not, and it's more open to the public and available for them to figure these kinds of things out.
So yeah, it's just, regulation needs to happen, but I just don't think it's going to, and I think it's going to be too late. But yeah, so there's a lot going on, and I think I'm going to be keeping up with this a little bit more because I didn't realize how far, I know audio and stuff like that, but I didn't realize how far video is. I might keep up with this because I saw another video, right? And worker strikes just happened, right? And that's a big thing. And one of the big things was pay, but also AI, right? Work with AI in the movie scene. Why? Okay, let's give it a few years, right? Let's give it 5-6 years. Why would we ever have Hollywood when we can use our phone and it could produce an entire... So the one guy used an example, Batman versus Spider-Man. full animated or live action if you choose. Great story based on the comics. It has different voice actors because, you can create your own voice based on other ones. You can create a female voice. You can make a non-binary voice. You can make a male voice. You can do whatever you want for each individual character in your own home for free or a subscription. Why would we ever have billions of dollars for movies throughout the year with actual passion put into it? Because guess what? This is another thing that we've seen. It does not matter really the results if it affects the humanity's will just do it easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, humans will easily take the labor-saving route rather than, supporting the things that will help others.
So, if these videos, imagine when these videos can be 30 minutes and it's a full episode or a full movie that can be animated, because we've also seen, like I said, you can see video games, you can see it real life. Why? Eventually it's going to be animated. We already see kind of some animation. It's a little janky, right? And it's based off real life, but it's only a matter of time. And that's also sad because, what are we going to do? Why? We can't, especially us, because we do not have the money to fund that. It's going to die, and we do not have a choice, because guess what? Millions and millions of people are going to stop watching movies, whether that's streaming or not, and just do that. And then those people are going to make money. Why would they not want to do that when they're making money? Because they're doing this.
Yeah. This is one of those, big societal changes that I feel like is going to happen. I would honestly put this on par with when, the internet first became
easily.
A thing, right?
It could even be bigger.
Yeah, because the internet changed the world, right? Everything now runs with internet in some way, shape, or form, and we rely on it, right? And now with all of these AI advances, this is once again going to change the world, right? Jobs are going to change, the solutions for, problems that we have, those are going to change. Because media is going to change. Everything is going to be different because of these AIs and how well they've developed.
You said jobs, right? And when the computers were invented, I love watching. Have you ever seen the movie or heard of the movie Hidden Figures?
I've heard of it.
It's about some black women. This is when segregation was still a thing, but it's also during the space race. And these women were good at math. And they were trying to do stuff the computers could, but they wanted to do it themselves. They hand did it. And this was after the internet, not quite the internet, but computers, right? Sure, now we don't have this one person who is quite literally the calculator. That's one job. Again, Hollywood. Let's quickly look this up, JJ. How much do you think Hollywood is worth as of right now?
How much Hollywood is worth?
Yeah, Hollywood as a whole.
That has a number? You can get a number for that?
Just check it. The film industry. Okay, Hollywood, the film industry. How much do you think it's worth?
How much is the
Don't Google it. No, you're guessing. I Googled it. You're guessing.
I don't even know, how to quantify this. I don't know. 3 trillion?
Oh, not that much. 42.5 billion. Versus gaming, which is 145.7 billion. Fun fact. But anyway,
dang.
$40 billion right there. $40 billion industry. That's a lot of money. We still had movies before the internet, right? Computers are still a thing, but we still had movies. Yes, they were black and white, and they've evolved because of that. That entire industry is just going to be gone when AI gets to a certain point. Completely gone. All those... I saw the one guy, even the guy that's going to be bringing the actors their snacks is going to be out of a job. That is so much. And that's just the film industry. Imagine restaurants and customer service and all that. That is another huge, huge part of the workforce gone.
Yeah. No, it's definitely going to have an impact on those kinds of things because people need jobs, right? People need to get paid. And if there's no way for that to happen, none of these businesses are going to get supported, right? The whole reason they want to use AI is to save money. But then, people don't have jobs, they can't earn money, and they can't spend money on these organizations
Inflation
using AI.
And stuff, right? So, there's not enough money because people can't earn money because they don't have jobs. Then things go up, but then they don't have money, so it's just an endless cycle.
Exactly. So all of society is going to end up crashing if this is the route they take. So there kind of has to be some rules and guidelines put in for what jobs AI can do and what they can't. That way, you know, there's still availability for people to be working.
This is the kind of thing that I was talking about with regulations and stuff, right? I know it's going to happen, but this is kind of like where we need some regulations for politics, for the workforce, that it can ensure job safety even when AI does get to a certain point.
Yeah, and that's what the whole strike was for, right? They don't want their jobs replaced with AI, so they, you know, said, we're not working until you give us some safety rails here and assure us that we're not going to be, you know, fired on the spot because this new robot came out that does what we do.
Yeah. So...
Which I have to mention, by the way, they went and immediately turned around and signed a deal so that they could clone voices for AI use in video games.
What?
The SAG organization with all the actors and everything, they went on strike, right, to protest AI. And then immediately after they won that deal, they turned around and signed a deal that, you know, video game creators are allowed to use AI clones of actors' voices for video games.
The company or the people that striked?
SAG-AFTRA, like the union is what it's called.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
Oh, here's another thing that we should also worry about. Spotify updated their terms of service. For audiobooks so far, probably going to go to other things. So, you know, I'm writing a novel, right? Just more novel. I haven't worked on it, but it's going to be a full story, right? With character development, a full world, plot, conflict, this and that. If I upload that to Spotify right now, it's out there. People can listen to it. No big deal, right? Right? Just like how music is distributed. Like our podcast is on everything. So I'm just simply on. But if I agree to that on Spotify, do you know what they get the right to? Everything. They can make a sequel. They can make a movie. And guess how much I get from that? 0. They get the full right to the IP. Yep. They get the full right to the IP. Every character in that book that I say on Spotify is now Spotify's, and they can do whatever they want with it.
Gotta love that.
So the world's like, and apparently, they're claiming it's just for AI use. That they're not going to actually do anything. They're just taking it to give it to an AI for data. That's what they're claiming. But either way, that's also not good. That means that AI is going to think that
using my product, and you know, my characters, names, places are all available for that AI to use if it wants.
So it's rough out here, JJ.
Yeah,
it's rough.
Seth, you know what I forgot?
What?
My soda.
That's crazy. I did my skit with ChatGPT.
Yeah, I blame you.
So that's just videos. So we're about halfway in, and now that we've discussed that there's problems, right? Here's what we're gonna do, and whether because again we can see in our analytics some of the age ratings. I know some of you guys are older, some of you are younger. So whether you're older or you are younger and you have a parent or grandparent that scrolls through the internet, I'm going to tell you this for your safety, and you should tell them. Keep an eye on this. Honestly, like, if you can, get rid of social media. Because guess what? Social media isn't that big of a deal anyway. It's better to get off of it. Especially if you can't control yourself with time or whatever. But especially your grandparents. Be careful, because they fall for scams like this so easily. And this is only going to be worse. Like I said with the one MacBook giveaway. That is something that is already happening for months. When this comes to the public, it is only going to be worse. Have you seen the Mr. Beast videos? The Mr. Beast deepfakes?
Yeah.
Like, they're not that far off. Sure, the tone really is bad, close. Right? They're again, if you tell, but if you can't tell, why would you ever think anything? So please, be careful. Try to stop using AI. Try to not give them this so it doesn't evolve as much. I know that's kind of annoying, and I want to see where this goes, and I think we're going to try to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the benefits and some cool things that can happen, because there are, but this is also, like we said, job security, political safety. This could quite literally throw the world into chaos depending on how this goes. So try not to use it as much, and try to warn your loved ones, your friends that are not as tech literate as you, and warn them. for their safety and yours. Because then if your parents get scammed out of a whole bunch of money, well, guess what? Your parents own your house, and now you got to file for bankruptcy. Right? Like, that's the level we're at right now. So for your safety, for your parents' safety, warn them. Let them know.
Absolutely. Parents, stop being so old.
Can't save this one for the end. Got to make sure you hear it. But now what do we want to talk about?
How the world is catching on fire?
I mean, so it might be catching on fire. However, I do got some good news. So again, with the Apple Vision Pro, this is just some random fun tech news. I saw a guy today, and he's blind, and he used the Apple Vision Pro. Now, when it comes to blindness, there's different diseases, and there's different severities. So he barely can see, but that does not mean it's pitch black, right? And so he cannot see, like, in front of him. So right now, I'm at my desk, and I got my monitor, and I can see the time, like the little time for the recording, right? 30:45. He will not be able to see that. But because the way the Apple Vision Pro works, it's showing you real life, but it's actually close. Yes, it's still in real life, farther away, but in your vision, it's technically like an inch away. He was actually able to see.
Dang.
And now, I also know there's been some people kind of annoyed, people kind of liking it with how the eye tracking works, right? That's how you use it, because there is no controller. Well, he also has another problem where his eyes constantly flicker left or right, and that's causing it really hard to select on a specific app. But because Apple does have some accessibility features, he can now use his entire head to move instead of just his eyes. So he does not have the money for this because it's still expensive. But that's one of those things that I've not seen anyone talk about, is the accessibility features of that.
Yeah, I mean, when you get down to individual body parts being controllers, like, there's a lot of different options that you could take and routes that you could take for these kinds of things.
So that's something that nobody has talked about until I saw it today, and that is something that I'm now going to think about when we get the Mark II, like medical and practical applications and stuff like that. Just like the Neuralink chip, which also had its first human.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, that's insane. Yeah, no, there was somebody with a Neuralink chip, which, if you don't know what Neuralink is, that is Elon Musk's brain chip company, basically. But they had their first, I think their first human subject ever.
Completely alive implant.
Yep, they are up and working, and they are able to control a mouse cursor with their mind.
Yeah? So some other fun, crazy, futuristic tech. Speaking of Elon, did you also see how much of a failure the Cybertruck is?
No.
It's rusting. It's
really?
Full rusting. It's so bad that this one guy went on and he tried to request what type of Tesla would fit for me, because there is no picture of the Cybertruck. And he quite literally tried to narrow it down to the Cybertruck with I want it purely for utility. I want off-roading. I want towing. And it still did not give him the Cybertruck.
Bruh.
So, we're in a very hard L. But I think, honestly, how much has Elon invested into AI? I mean, Neuralink is kind of AI, right?
In a way, yeah, I guess.
But there hasn't been much talk, and I'm interested to see how AI could work with something like the Neuralink.
Yeah, honestly, it's interesting, because at that point, you'd be mixing a human mind with a computer mind and basically integrating them together. So in a way, they'd kind of be communicating with each other constantly. You'd be able to do different tasks. It's like having Jarvis in your head, right?
It would.
You'd basically be able to have a conversation with this AI in your mind. You really wouldn't have to say any words, as far as I know, because it could just read your thoughts.
The other reason I asked that is because, yes, it's a different type of AI, but the artificial intelligence for driving, right? Elon is working on AI in a sense. Not the type of AI like ChatGPT, but still AI. So I'm not saying that we're going to throw the car auto driving into the Neuralink to help people walk like a car.
Yeah.
But there is definitely data that you could take from that and use that. But that's just one of those random things I just thought about with like the Apple Vision, like use it for medical, and that's the whole purpose of the Neuralink. I know there are some people I talked to that were saying like how scary it kind of is and how stupid and people are lazy, this and that. It's like, well, the main purpose is for people to be able to walk or something.
Yeah.
But just like everything else, just like social media, right? The purpose of social media was just to talk. Like me and JJ, we live an hour away. I can't see you. That's why phone calls were invented, right? Long distance communication, except now we can text and do it with other people on the internet, just like pen pals. Is that really that bad? No. But then it obviously got worse. I think a perfect example is WALL-E. Wasn't supposed to be bad, and then it got a lot worse.
WALL-E?
WALL-E. The Disney movie?
What do you mean? And what's wrong with WALL-E?
What do you mean what's wrong with WALL-E? Everyone grows so fat because they literally didn't walk, and they didn't communicate with anyone because they just used computer screens.
They did communicate. That was how they communicated.
But they literally did not walk. Like, they only FaceTime people. It's not good. That's where we're going with this. That's what I'm saying. It's turning into WALL-E, by and large. By the way, apparently, Elon might be buying Disney too.
No way.
I saw, because guess what? Elon is worth $210 billion and Disney's $190. So Elon theoretically could buy Disney.
There's no way.
I don't know how true that is, but Elon's really making waves. Keep an eye on him.
Yeah. Nate's unhinged.
He is. He very much is. So that's some fun stuff. What else? Because we can also talk about futuristic tech, because it's our podcast. It started with AI. We can end with AI. Try to talk about tech with AI incorporated. Like Doofenshmirtz evil incorporated.
Sigh.
You cannot think that when you hear incorporated or a nader. If you don't, then you're not a true child. You were never a true child. Anyway, so what else is there? So yeah, we talked about photos are definitely coming along. And again, I feel like what's really interesting will be more video and audio, like more realistic voices and realistic video versus photos.
It's not difficult to perfect like a still image, right? Like obviously there are some minor details like clipping objects or something that you'd get with like rendering any still frame scene, but it's really in the impressiveness of capturing a moving image and it's still being accurate that it's going to come down to, right?
Like we can kind of see that with before the videos, right? Because obviously videos are only relatively new, even with the AI that was available for like the Will Smith. That was not a common thing. People weren't doing that. Whereas I don't know if you remember the trend where people would take one photo and they keep throwing that same photo into AI and it changed slowly, like spinning or something. And there's definitely stuff wrong. It's not staying still. It's like bending, his ears are morphing. It's a different person now. There's a third person. There's two combined sentient. Like there's problems, and that's what I'm saying. When we take that and throw that into video, that's where it's more impressive. Because it's one still image, it can do it. But now we have to do multiple images or multiple frames on top of each other and keeping the same animation, right? I remember I've talked to you about this channel. Do you remember Corridor Crew?
Yeah.
So they did an AI, like they tried to make it like anime, and they used AI on every single frame to make it like anime. But the problem was there's a few frames in there that were a different art style, and there's nothing you can do about that. Because that's just how AI works. And that's where I'm saying like the progression is here. However, just like the photos, just like the videos, the big thing was copyright. Taking people's work, like, yes, it's making, like, AI, because, like anime, like this specific anime artist. But for actual progression, photos have been there. The thing that I'm interested in is video, but also, I think I'm more interested in audio. Just for, like, communication, not just the realness of it, but, like, actual real conversations, like, I could have. Like, I can pull up ChatGPT right now and have a conversation with it. Now there's a few things, like sometimes it pull on, like I was talking to it earlier about like some AI stuff, and it quite literally copied, oh yes, photorealism, videos, and auditory responses, which is what I said because I'm trying to sound fancy and see what it responds to, and just copied it. So there's going to be some flaws with it, but I'm excited to see how that is. How much have you experimented with AI? Because even Snapchat has an AI bot that you can mess around with.
Yeah, no, I've played around with a bunch of them. I've even I've made it kind of a game to.
Hold up, ChatGPT is listening. Continue.
I've made it kind of a game that every time someone comes out with a new AI that I can message a conversation with, I try and find a way to break its rules, because obviously each of these AIs have different rules and guidelines that they don't go outside of, right? It's like I said before, down to the hairline details of generate an Asian person doing acrobatics on a red rubber ball. If you get down to some specific details like that, those kinds of things, sometimes it can break, or it'll just outright tell you, sorry, I can't generate that for an undisclosed reason, try a different prompt. And I've got that with a lot of different AIs. The only one I haven't got it with yet necessarily is ChatGPT, but that's just because they always find a way to kind of work around by giving me something, but it not being exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah.
But most other AIs, like you said, the Snapchat one, and I know Meta has one, I've tried with those, getting some results out that, it's so weird. What was it? I think it was Meta's that I was playing with. It wouldn't generate a white Caucasian male. It wouldn't.
Shit.
No matter how hard I tried, I would I even put a US location, a beach in the US, and it wouldn't generate a white Caucasian male. It literally gave me Asians, it gave me Africans, everybody, but not a simple white male.
So again, that's where we talk about that data input, left, right, different cultures. And because of just the society nowadays and so much about that, it's probably well, we can't, we gotta be, whether you use the term woke because it is woke or not, whatever, something like that, right? And they're trying, and you can clearly see, and I wouldn't, and from something like Meta, it's kind of not surprising if it's leaning a little bit more towards really trying to drive home to the extreme of that.
Yeah.
Which is another thing to be worried about when you're using AI. Okay, like I said, it's better to get away from it, but there's definitely times you can't. There's a lot of AI around there, Siri, Google, stuff like that. And people also have to use it. It's very useful and helps them with their daily routine because of, I'm thinking something like ADHD, right? You have schedules, and you can use some of these assistants to quite literally tell you, do this, to keep track for you. So you're going to have to use stuff like that, right?
Yeah, moving forward, it's going to be pretty much impossible to not be using AI because it's in so many of our things. I'm sure you didn't realize, but Google Maps technically uses AI, right? Every time it reads your route and is oh, there's additional traffic here, or there's a light here, and don't turn right because there's a crash. That's using AI to determine these things based on all of the input data of other people's Google Maps around that area.
Here's the big question. A lot of the stuff we've talked about is AI. But is AI and machine learning, I know we kind of talked about that, is that more on the machine learning route versus AI route? Yes, they're kind of the same thing, but when we talk about certain things, we kind of refer to a very specific thing, right? Manga is technically a comic book by definition, but no one is calling it a comic book. Comic books are the Western version. So yes, they're the same thing, but when we refer to AI, we're talking about a person, ChatGPT. So it's something like Google Maps or your YouTube algorithm. Yes, that's kind of AI, but is that more AI or is that more machine learning? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it's kind of hard because AI, we don't have AI yet, right? The literal definition of AI, artificial intelligence, we don't have that yet. You can look at ChatGPT, you can look at all these different things, but it's not its own intelligence. It's just a collective of the intelligence we have gathered. So in reality, until one of these assistants, thinks by itself and can, rely on its own thoughts in order to solve problems, then we don't actually have an AI. So at that point, most of it in general is just machine learning.
It's fair. No, that's fair. But I just know, like, that's kind of what we mentioned in the first one. We kind of talked about this because it's such a new thing. And I really think this is going to be the type of thing where, honestly, at this rate, we might have to do 2 or 3 updates a year on AI and how fast it's growing. Because I'm like, we should do an AI eventually. And then SORA happened. I'm like, I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah, I mean, totally random sidetrack here, but what was that company that had, like, the robot dog?
Oh, Boston Dynamics.
Yeah, that one. What do you think would happen if they started using some of this tech, right? Because obviously we have AIs that can, like, problem solve, and I can't remember if it was ChatGPT or not, or OpenAI, but somebody, I remember seeing a video, did basically a demo with their AI model, and they determined whether or not it could move it was kind of like one of those wood stick people through a room. It was a simulated thing, obviously, but they put, like, obstacles in the simulation and stuff, and it was basically this AI had to maneuver this wooden stick figure through all of these obstacles and stuff, and that was a test to see whether or not they could integrate it into, you know, an actual robot and it still do the same thing. What if, you know, Boston Dynamics gets their hands or develops their own on one of these AIs, right, and then integrates it with their robots? Then we literally have robots that know how to walk around and maneuver open spaces.
I mean, we already do. Like, Boston Dynamics did more than dogs. They did full robots that can jump and flip and stabilize
all
themselves.
Of that is based on their programming, right? That's like they have programmed it to know how to step over something or to, you know, mantle over a box or whatever, right? That's programming that they've done. I'm saying, what if an AI could do it on its own? Right? I mean, like, what if all they need to do is integrate the program and there it is. It automatically knows how to maneuver all of these. There's no maneuvering that it wouldn't know how to do just because they didn't code it.
Do we know that they haven't, like, had any AI inputted into these robots?
I mean, presumably. I mean, not AI to that depth, I assume.
Boston Dynamics, AI. Yeah, no, I'm not sure. Here, does Boston Dynamics use AI? With this project, we found a way to combine the results of several general AI systems together and generate exciting results on a real robot using Spot's SDK. So they're using some kind of AI. Yes, it's definitely not to the data set of something like Google Maps or something like that. But there is kind of AI, because that's kind of how you, like we said, like machine learning and AI, they have to have some kind of artificial intelligence in each of the robots to then be able to take in that input of problem solving. Like, this doesn't work, go to the left, right? If you can't go right, go left. That is part of the artificial intelligence, because it needs its own intelligence to figure that out. So it's not to the level of some of these things, but there is some artificial intelligence in there. Have you seen the progress of, again, back to Elon's robot?
Boring. I don't recall Elon having a robot. Hold up.
So I saw somebody saying, like, why can't it do what Boston Dynamics does? But I think the big difference is because Boston Dynamics is going for practicality, right? Like, able to do flips, and you could see big backpacks on it. Whereas Elon is extremely humanoid, so he's not trying to make it do all the flips. He's trying to keep that humanoid form and adding stuff to that. And the reason I bring that up is we pretty recently just got our new version of it that is very humanoid and flat. Like,
Optimus
it doesn't have
Gen
so much
2 question mark?
Gen 2, I believe, yeah.
Yeah. You know, it looks like, you know, obviously a robot, but it's shaped like a person.
Versus...
Kind of looks like something out of Detroit Become Human.
Honestly, yeah. And I feel like that's where he's trying to go from versus just, let me just do it. Like, we already kind of have that and we can get there, but let's start from a different starting point. And that, for him, that's humanoid. It's kind of scary. That's a whole other conversation. But again, like AI, if we throw AI into that, like, imagine like a few full humanoid robot with, say we give Apple a few years, right? And we get this persona down. Imagine being able to throw your persona face on that with your voice that is taken from, like, because Apple also has a thing where you can actually input, like, doing phrases and it can make a copy of your voice almost. Imagine adding that with, like, ChatGPT, and you can talk to yourself with ChatGPT with your face.
Dude.
That's really not that far off. It's just combining the technology that we already have and giving it a few years for more data to come in. Like, Apple, give it like 3 more years. And then we just combine ChatGPT and boom.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that I could see in the near future.
Which is really scary.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the, the clear, what was that, LCD screens that are becoming more easily accessible. Like, it's clear screen that projects something up into it. What if we get kind of like a new home assistant, kind of like the Google Home Mini or whatever, and...
No, it's a block and there's a head in your room.
Yeah, it's like something like that, or like just a glass panel even coming up from the stand, and there's just either your face or somebody else's face and, it uses a voice that's super realistic and you can actually hold a conversation. Yeah?
It's the lab rat assistant. It's the little guy.
Eddie.
It's lab rats. He's just gonna fly through each of your screens.
Yeah.
And you have like a server or something, like your Google Home Mini, like it's set to the side, but you have your screens that are connected to it around your house.
Yeah, dude. It's insane.
It's really not that far off. Because here's another thing. Look at Rabbit. Imagine a rabbit combined with something like that.
Yeah.
That's really not that far off. Oh my god. The world is dying, Seth. But let's try to think of some pros that can happen to this. Again, some cool home innovation, like we just said. I honestly don't think there's that big of a problem to that. Now, yes, there could be some laziness, but again, really anything we do at this point can be taken to the extreme for laziness. But I don't think it's that big of a thing. Imagine living... Okay, so hear me out. Imagine we give this to someone who is older and widowed. But we can give him a voice of his grandson or his significant other if we were able to do that in time. And now he can wake up to a significant other welcoming him on his TV screen in his bedroom, waking him up. And then she can make coffee with a robot.
It's kind of like a little bit, twisted in a way.
Oh, absolutely.
A little bit morbid, but like it can be comforting in a lot of situations, right? Like, what if there's already like technology looking into, replaying things in like a 3D kind of space, right? Like with projectors, if you want to put it that way, or like
the Apple Vision Pro, like you can record video.
Yeah, like the Apple Vision Pro.
See 360 video that you record.
Right? So like, what if it becomes a situation like you can have that kind of playback with, clear voices and clear faces, seeing it from all angles, even if the camera didn't originally capture it that way, because, the device has a recording of that person's, form in its database, right?
Which, yeah, so like you said, it could be morbid, maybe not the significant other, but like, what if it is like your grandchild, right? Like, what if I'm like 80 and I'm alone because my wife died, and my grandchild is like waking me up, and that's like the voice that I used? Is there really anything bad about that? I would love to wake up to my grandson every morning.
Yeah. And aside from like the obvious kind of confusing parts of, it still being an AI, it definitely would be cool.
So that is Home Assistant. I can see that being very beneficial. And we kind of mentioned the medical applications too. To a Home Assistant, also say nursing assistant, right? Like say that you are too old or you're medically unable to do something. You can either use AI to walk for you or to help you out. Like imagine having an AI pushing you around in a wheelchair that can keep track and actually tell you, hey, like don't move. You don't have to worry because it has like Tesla driving, right? Like to stop and communicating with other things.
Yeah, I mean, there was this pair of glasses that I saw that actively like uses an AI enhancement, kind of like what we use for our podcast, like clear voices and knock out background noise for people hard of hearing. it like has microphones on the glasses themselves, and they don't have to be like prescription glasses. Like some of them didn't even have lenses, but they sit right over your ears. It's not something uncomfortable like your traditional
AirPods,
hearing aids or stuff like that.
No, hearing aids.
There we go.
Hearing aids.
Those glasses actively enhance that speech and allow those people who are hard of hearing to, you know, actively be able to engage in conversation with people.
Like I said, with vision, imagine we can use AI and incorporate the specific disease that you have, right? Because there's different levels, and you can say, eventually we figure it out, and you are 37% blurry. And the AI can try to like counteract that and fix that specifically for you and help make that more clear for your eyes. We can already see that with like prescription glasses in the Apple Vision Pro. Imagine like just full clarity, because that's already what it's doing, right? Because it's a camera. The real world. Just add a filter to that for your eyes.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a little bigger and expensive versus something like glasses, maybe. Because that's honestly where, like, I think the Apple Vision Pro is supposed to go to. That's what a lot of people are saying. Eventually, they want it to be like glasses versus a full headset. And that's going to take some time. But imagine that for that application of vision.
You know, I saw it was so funny. So you know The Simpsons, right? And how it's always how it's always calling different like happenings in, you know, modern society.
Even the Titan.
There was an episode where people were walking around with headsets on that looked, I kid you not, identical to the Apple Vision Pro.
Didn't even have a cord like the battery. Like, I think it had a cord like the battery even.
It did have a cord. Yep, it did. And they were just walking around with it. No controllers, just they're using their normal hands, same shape as the Apple Vision Pro, and they're walking around the streets, which we already see videos of people like out at a cafe wearing it, like eating their food and doing work. Like this, it literally looked exactly like society right now. I kid you not.
Bro.
The Simpsons did it again, dude.
You know what? We could talk more and more about robots and AI, but I think that is a perfect place to end it.
The frickin' Simpsons.
But we have to end it with our message from our sponsor, Nerdrat. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, so you'll be notified when we have new episodes. And join the Discord and talk about this. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments of the YouTube video, of Spotify, or join the Discord and make a thread of this episode and tell your thoughts in that thread.
Do all of it.
And follow us on Instagram at Nerdram Podcast. And with that, I'm Dr. Zombrain, also known as Seth, with my co-host,
Undisclosed AI Model.
Peace.
Bye.